Initial D is one of the core reasons why the 1983 to 1987 Toyota AE86 Trueno is such an infamous car nowadays. From video games to the real-life drifting scene, the AE86 is worshipped as one of the best Japanese cars ever made. The reason being is because this car was driven by the main character named Takumi Fujiwara. He claimed victory against almost every character that he raced and is hands down the fastest racer in the entire Kanto region of Japan. As I said, this anime influenced immense obsession for the 86 chassis and quickly turned this nimble hatchback into a JDM icon. But what if, hypothetically, people liked this car a little too much? Today, we'll be talking about the evolution of Takumi Fujiwara's AE86 and how this show may have brainwashed others into believing that this is the king of all cars. The Toyota AE86 in Initial D started its life as a basic grocery getter owned by Takumi's father named Bunta Fujiwara. There are many speculations that talk about when and why he specifically bought an 86, but the real reason is unknown. Bunta would continue to use his 86 to deliver the tofu he mixed to a nearby hotel atop of a mountain known as Akina or Haruna Pass. Once Takumi was old enough to grasp the concept of driving, Bunta made Takumi deliver the tofu at very early hours in the morning every day for about 5 years, that way he could take as much time as he needed to understand the 86 and what it takes to drive fast so he can get home and sleep for a few more hours before school. I'm pretty sure that everyone who's seen my previous videos or has seen Initial D knows what happens from here, so we'll skip the part where he gets the attention of other people, races against them, and then becomes the fastest racer in Gunma. As he races different people who have faster cars than him, Fujiwara quickly learns how to keep up with them by using different driving techniques like driving his side tires into a gutter to eliminate understeer, or making sure that he doesn't brake too much when cornering because the car can't accelerate quickly. Fast forward to Season 2, Episode 1, a racing group known as Team Emperor starts to make waves around the prefecture, with their main goal being to end Takumi's winning streak. Seiji Iwaki, the second driver in the team, is eager to be the first Emperor driver to race against the 86, ignorant of how the race would turn out in his loss. As a way to avenge him, Kyoichi Sudo, the first member of the team, decides to challenge the 86 the next day on a road that neither of them are familiar with named Mount Akagi, which is the home course of the first team that Takumi raced against called the Akagi Red Suns. Around the midway point of the race, Takumi realizes that his 86's engine isn't powerful enough to keep up with Sudo's Evo 3, and the Toyota stock engine ultimately meets its demise. Before it seized, Takumi's 86 had a motor known as the 4AGE. It has 0 modifications done to it and put out roughly 124 horsepower. The only tuning done to the car was some loosened suspension and short ratio gears in the transmission to try and at least pander to the acceleration issue. About an hour after Fujiwara's loss, Bunta drives a flatbed truck to the location that the engine blew and helps Takumi tow it back home. On the way back, Fujiwara is under the impression that overheating the car's engine is his fault, and if he didn't make the snap decision to give in to Sudo's race, none of this would have happened. Bunta explains that it's okay because he already knew that the motor was nearing its last days, but what he didn't tell Fujiwara is that he already prepared for this mishap and got his hands on a private engine that no one, not even a Toyota Motorsport racer, could have attained.
Unreal. Whoa, it's like having gold.
Roughly a week later, Takumi wakes up planning to deliver the tofu in the flatbed truck like how he was for the last few days, but unexpectedly sees the 86 outside with a completely restored engine. He doesn't understand why the car handles differently as he makes his deliveries, and Bunta not giving him any info on what the engine is doesn't make it any better. As he drives it more and more and meets another 86 enthusiast named Wataru Akiyama, he's notified that his motor is called a 20-valve blacktop, which is a higher revving motorsport specified engine found in the Toyota Corolla AE101 Group A race cars. This right here is Exhibit A of how Initial D has brainwashed us. Most surface level Initial D fans who haven't seen the full series are believing that Takumi wins against all his future rivals with a stock 4AGE engine. They think that the blind attack, which is a race we'll go over in Exhibit B, inner wheel lift, and a few other famous scenes were all done in the OEM engine, which is probably the most falsest statement that any Initial D fan could ever make. Another reason why I point this out is because I can prove this with real life prices of a stock 4AGE. Here's one that was sold on Bring a Trailer back in 2017 for $5,000, or this one in Los Angeles for $5,500. At the moment, everyone is selling the 20-valve engines from anywhere between $2,300 and $4,000. It's genuinely mind-boggling how the stock engine is more expensive than the later generation 4AG, which has almost double the power. As the series went on into the third stage movie, Takumi gets an invitation to an advanced mountain racing team known as Project D, which was put together by the first person Takumi raced named Keisuke Takahashi and his older brother named Ryosuke Takahashi. The difference between Project D and any other team is that Project D travels all across Japan to race different local teams rather than sticking to one specific mountain. By spring, Project D is already the most infamous group that every team wants to beat in order to defend their reputation. After beating a group called 7 Star Leaf, D gets the attention of a professional street racing alliance known as the Toto School. The first 2 races that Takumi and Keisuke won aren't specifically important to this video, but the third one was. Around the second half of the first round, Tomoyuki states that he initially planned on racing Keisuke's FD on the uphill, which is why he told Toto to sort in the gear ratios inside his car's transmission. But since Ryosuke predicted that this would happen, he made the snap decision to let Takumi race him, which left Keisuke livid. Anyway, after Fujiwara was overtaken, he makes the daring risk to turn off his headlights and overtake Tomoyuki to throw him off. This scene single-handedly became one of, if not the most famous scene in Initial D. Anytime you see a video of someone's lights going out in a circuit race or a police chase, there's usually a few people in the comment section making Initial D references. This scene showed that Takumi knows how to act fast under pressure and makes sure said action works in his favor. It seemed like a perfect race that adds a ton of extra lore to Fujiwara until Tomoyuki unexpectedly bumps Takumi to disrupt his rhythm. The sudden switch in tone and feeling behind the race quickly makes you lose hope for Fujiwara and makes you feel bad for him. As the final corners approach, you quickly realize that the main character isn't always the best in some situations, and the hope that you had towards Takumi winning fades. Until, for some stupid reason, some animal runs out in front of Tomoyuki's car and forces him to drive out the way and lets Takumi overtake him and win.
I'm kind of retarded.
You're telling me that the reason why Fujiwara was able to win was because of an animal? Like, seriously, I understand that sometimes plot armor is a necessity to keep the story going, but that's just pathetic. Like, why are we trying to make Takumi look like he has the upper hand when his opponent is clearly faster? Another perfect example of this kind of buffoonery is in his final battle in the Ibaraki Prefecture against Toshiya Josima, also known as God Hand. Dr. Josima and Kozo Hoshino first appeared in Season 4, Episode 19 with a very dominant introduction. There were two middle-aged men who didn't have a single drop of hesitance in themselves and were ready to pound Project D into the pavement.
What do you mean by that?
Keisuke's battle with Kozo happened the next night with him being the victor, but at a cost of Hoshino's tires. See, Keisuke's battle with Godfoot was a 2-round mixed stage race, meaning that it was an uphill battle to the midway point, then come back down to the bottom, then do it once more, and whoever's at the bottom first wins. Throughout the first round, Keisuke made sure to keep his throttle force under control, giving him the ability to catch up to Kozo when his tires are wearing out. Once they got to the midway point on the second round, Godfoot pulls alongside of Keisuke to overtake him as they turn around the cone and begin the final downhill. He violently begins to drift his R34 with Keisuke doing the same, but since he conserved his tires, he easily overtook Kozo's skyline from the outside on the second to last corner and won. From what I saw, it seemed that Keisuke banked his entire victory on his opponent's tires, but could have ended in a crash after seeing how passionate Kozo was for winning this race. I'm not saying his winning was undeserved, because obviously no matter how fast your opponent is, always try to keep up with them, but I just think that Hoshino could have lost for a better reason, like an accident or possibly spinning out and letting Keisuke pull away at the midway point. But my rant doesn't just stop there. The event of Takumi and Josima blows this whole thing out of the water. Before racing Toshiya, Ryosuke stopped by Takumi's 8.6 to alert him that he's not racing a human, he's racing a ghost. What he meant is that Josima is able to take any line he wants to and still pull away no matter what, even if it breaks the conventional rules of driving fast. The reason why this driving style can be performed is because regardless of how he rotates the S2000, he's using the tires in their best possible state, slippery but with enough traction to control his car. Josima is said to be one of the fastest racers in Initial D, considering the fact that he's been practicing this technique for the last 25 years and does it all with his right hand. Some might say he could even come close to beating Bunta with how much experience he has. Takumi's race with Josima lasted 8 mixed stage rounds and startled Josima by performing a blind attack to overtake him. However, since this overtake happened in the middle of the 8th round and Fujiwara didn't outrun Toshiya in said round, he had to complete the downhill section. As both cars shot down the mountain one last time, Takumi noticed that Josima was pulling away even faster than before. No matter how many times he drove through the gutter, there was no hope left for him. Unexpectedly, Fujiwara's 8.6's suspension breaks and Josima breaks away. It was safe to say that sadly, this was the first official race that Takumi ever lost. Josima only had a few corners left into the finish, and Fujiwara's car couldn't handle properly. It was just like his race with Tomoyuki, interesting and entertaining at first, but somber and dull at the end. But because Shuichi Sugino doesn't know how to properly write lore, Josima has to vomit right before the finish line and lets Takumi slowly pass him.
Damn it, I can hardly focus on the road.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Why do we keep doing this to this man? Realistically, no one wins every race they have. There's just gonna be some times in life where you pair up with someone who's just faster. It's a truth that no one wants to take, but it's a real thing. Look at KCK as an example. He didn't win every race he competed in, but he still goes down as a legend because of how good of a driver he is. Same thing goes for people like Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher. Even if they made Takumi actually lose, it would have still gone down as one of the best battles in Initial D considering how much Fujiwara had to struggle. But now that we've gone over both ways Initial D has brainwashed its viewers, we can observe the negative effects it has on the car and gaming community. For starters, if you look on Facebook Marketplace for A86s, 90% of the ones you'll come across are coupes, and even then, a vast majority of them are beat up on, overpriced, or with no engine and transmission. And even if you try to import the hatchback trim, most of the importing websites charge a minimum of $20,000 to ship it to the US. Keep in mind that we're talking about a glorified commuter hatchback that isn't even a real sports car. The racing game community also suffered damage from this plot armor due to the fact that anytime you see someone on some sort of mountain pass area of a map, they're most likely using an AE86 but driving terribly. They accidentally block the road, spin out at awful times, and usually overpopulate the server, making racing against them boring. Now don't get it twisted, there are tons of AE86 drivers out there, especially in Assetto Corsa like YTFR cars, Chinook, and Dingo, but there's a small but noticeable percentage of people who genuinely don't know how to drive this car. The AE86 along with many other short wheelbase cars are very sensitive to weight distribution. Even if you're just a few milliseconds late to applying throttle or steering adjustment, you'll find yourself turned the opposite way no matter how much you try countersteering. Take it from someone who thought that driving this car without stability control was impossible until a few months ago. I might actually make a video on that soon. Now I don't want anyone clicking off this video thinking that I have any grudges against Initial D. If that were the case, I might as well delete my entire channel and never talk about it again. I'm extremely grateful to know about such a legendary piece of automotive entertainment that almost single-handedly inspires me to own a huge collection of cars someday. The main reason why I made this video was to alert some new-gen Initial D fans that this show can exaggerate certain things, and if anyone wants to sell an A86 someday, don't list it for such a high price if it doesn't deserve the price tag. Also, before I end this video, I know that I said it last year, but in 2026 I really plan on posting more content with my voice. I was on a really good run earlier this year making about 1 or 2 long-form videos a month, but I eventually got burned out from so much editing, which is why you haven't seen much content from me since around May. Next year I'll finish all my incomplete projects and make sure that this channel is better than ever. I thank you for watching this video and hope to see you on the next one.